It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. Ulike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are live in the DFW. Thank you so much for starting your day with us, or maybe your mid-morning with us, I should say. Presented by Slovacic's, Kalshi, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. We will get to all the sponsors and all the NFL scheduling stuff in just a moment, but we're going to start by welcoming in Utah Jazz play-by-play man, and if you know sports, you know Craig Bolerjack. Craig has been in the game for a very long time. The soundtrack of many seasons. What's happening, Craig?
Hey, Pete, how are you?
Man, it's a pleasure to be with you. I guess I first off have to ask you about how's the shoulder doing?
Oh, put me back together. You know, I tell you, a knee and a shoulder is just part of the off season right now for me. But you know, it's like you have to just kind of, you know, glue, staple, and tape to keep things going. You know how it is. I tell you, Pete, you're young enough. One day maybe you'll have to experience that, but I hope not.
Yeah, me neither, right? But I was talking to Chris Visser yesterday, and then I heard you a little bit earlier in the week on KSL. And yeah, you're going through it right now. But it looks, I mean, you look great. So it looks like
Thanks.
you're on the mend.
Yeah. I got rehab later this morning, and I kind of been through it before, so you kind of know what to expect. But first, it's no fun, but it does feel better, and that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The Jazz, I know you had a tough second half of the season in particular, just as a play-by-play guy. And that's the first question I want to ask you. How challenging was it for somebody like you who's been doing this for a very long time and is elite? You have a team who is, air quotes, tanking, but you work for the team, right? So you don't want to go into, this is not good basketball, whatever. You actually got a chance to see a bunch of guys really audition
Right.
for, the rest of their careers. And also, Jazz fans are so passionate. It's a different situation there. There's still a pulse, even when they're struggling like that. But how did you navigate that second half to the season?
Pete, great question. It's actually been going on for about 3 years, honestly, just this rebuild and watching the Keontae Georges and the Bryce Senzabahs and the Kyle Filipowskis grow. And everyone always talks about how do you get better? Well, it's real simple. Like in the weight room, you get strong by reps. Same thing, it's about minutes in the NBA. And I will say that Big T Thurl Bailey, who's my partner, was a national champion with Jimmy V in 1983 at North Carolina State. He's been through, the rigors of the NBA. He was a number 7 pick for the Jazz back in '83. So he knows a lot and has been able to, I think, educate me and educate our fan base too about the process. And also, Pete, as we get into a situation where the NBA is drafting 18 and 19-year-olds, that's the other process that you have to be patient, even though fan bases are not. They have to understand it is a growth period. And who do you have? Who works? Who doesn't? What pieces fit in the puzzle? And whom better than Danny and Austin Ainge to figure out this puzzle? Because, there's talent right now. As you said, most of the talent like Marketing, the trade for Triple J, Keontae, Isaiah Collier, who's a very impressive young backup guard at the time. They watched from the bench as we watched from the booth and saw a lot of growth. And I will say, as you mentioned, the Jazz fan base goes back to the Stockton Malone era where they took, Jordan and the Bulls to 2 NBA finals, lost both. But the excitement level at that time, I get a feeling that, as history repeats itself, is this another time in that NBA clock where it's ticking up towards the Jazz some, because there's a lot of pieces in place. Now you have to put them in the right position. And this draft at number 2, man, it's important. But Jazz fans, as they call it, Jazz Nation, I tell you, it's fever pitch right now in Salt Lake. It's amazing, fun to be around, but I don't know the answers. Not my pay grade, by the way. But it's exciting, no doubt.
Well, you're very close to the organization, so you have some of the behind the scenes resources that can help us find the answers. And you got some pretty big puzzle pieces that could possibly come in this offseason. One of them could be Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson. As far as the Jazz and their want to bring a guy like AJ DeBonsa or keep him in Utah, what are you hearing about that? Because now, I called both of their games, and
right.
I've seen both of them. They're extremely explosive, and I like AJ a little more, as most people do. But what do you feel like the Jazz are willing to spend to move up to get that number 1 pick to keep AJ DeBonsa, out in Utah? Is there any vibe you got there?
Pete, that is the biggest question, and it just keeps circulating with different answers every day. I got to be honest, I would not want to play poker with one Danny or Austin Ainge. Man, you talk about straight-faced and not showing their hand. I tell you, insiders will tell you that they're going to sit back and let things kind of settle. and probably listen to potential, I guess, reasonable offers. I really do think, though, Pete, that what the Jazz have been through the last 3 years, as we talked about the development, I don't think they're planning on just handing off Ace Bailey. I don't think they're handing off, Keontae George. They've put too much into their development to just make a off the cuff decision because they do have a relationship and they know AJ well because he played at Brigham Young, 40 miles south of the Delta.
Looks like we lost Craig there. We were rolling. He might pop back up. He just completely went dark on us after shedding so much light on a situation that I think we are all kind of captive to right now, and that is the possibility of the Jazz trading up to get AJ Debonsa. Garrett, just work on getting him back. And I know if you need Visser's contact, I think Visser has his phone number. You probably have it too, though. But in the meantime, I can tell you yesterday, I talked to some people around BYU and folks, in the NBA about the possibilities. Oh, here we go. We got Craig back. There you are, buddy. Lost you for a second.
Did I lose you, Pete?
No, we're good. We're back, though. I lost you for a second when you were talking about, there is guys like Keontae George, right? There are players that have been developing like Ace Bailey, who the Jazz have a premium on it, and they probably won't move them. But that's what the Wizards that's what it'll take, I think.
Pete, I lost your audio. I'll
Okay.
just kind of continue. See if I can't get it back. But I just think, again, AJ is a talent. Led the nation in scoring, as you know. The biggest question is, who is Peterson? What kind of personality does he truly have? And I think, again, in the interview process, for me, and I think the Jazz and the rest of the GMs around the country, that may be the most important part of this whole process is who are you? And I think when you're 19, 18, 19, 20 in this league, the investment is so big, so high, so critical that you have to get to know who you're drafting more and more every day. And I think that's maybe the most important thing for the Jazz is if they're going to take AJ, they know him. But if he is not available, then do they know Darren Peterson? They know Cam because of Carlos. And then, there's another great player that doesn't get a lot of hype, and that's Caleb Wilson, who, can play both ends of the floor, terrific defender, got length, can shoot the three. And so, there's a lot of talent on top of the pole, but who do you go with? It just depends. Washington, again, they're going to sit back and see what kind of offers they get because they're like the Jazz 3 years ago on a rebuild. And I don't think they think that overnight they're going to be in the playoffs, but the Jazz are on that cusp of finding themselves back into not only a play-in, but I think a top six potentially in the West. That's a big statement, but there is talent out there. If you put it all together, it could be a real fun year.
All right, can you hear me now, Craig? You don't have my audio? Okay, Craig can't hear me. All right, Garrett, why don't you see if you can give him a call? Craig is busy today, so I know if you can't work that out, don't worry about it. But see if you can get in touch with Craig. Can you hear me now? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Craig has lost our audio. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but technical issues do happen. Hopefully we can get him back there. Craig, I can see you on my screen. Okay, yeah, knock him out and then have him jump back on, Garrett. Maybe we can get him for another 5 minutes. If not, I know Craig's a real busy guy. Already enlightening stuff there. I will say, just in the meantime, while we're working to get Craig back, yesterday, I had been part of the school of thought that, it was possible that the Jazz could move up, and they could do so by taking a piece like Ace Bailey or like Keontae George or Jaren Jackson Jr. But man, you talk to people around the Jazz and around the NBA, and they say there is no way. And they say, really do not believe some of the hype that has gone along with, okay, AJ Debonsa is so good and AJ Debonsa is so close to Danny Ainge at BYU. And we had Ace Bonsa on here yesterday who talked about how tight he was with Danny Ainge. And you do think, okay, at the end of the day, these are human beings, right? And there is a connection there that we have between AJ DeBonsa and Danny Ainge and Ace DeBonsa and Danny Ainge and BYU and Danny Ainge. And there's a lot in the stew there that continues to cook. And I have every reason to believe that that personal connection could move the Jazz maybe like a tad in a direction that is a little more emotional than, let's say, basketball ops thinking, which is, again, though, we're talking about Danny Ainge. Like, how far in that direction do you go? Not far enough to make a foolish decision, is my point. And so I don't think the more and more I have the opportunity to sort of sink my teeth into the situation and talk to people around the NBA and talk to people around BYU and folks that know the situation, like, Danny Ainge always being at games in Provo. I have found that it's going to be a real long shot, right, to add one of those three major pieces. And when I'm talking about three major pieces, let's say Jaren Jackson Jr., Keontae George, or Ace Bailey. I don't think any of those guys are going to be put on the table and made an option, right, for the Jazz to trade to Washington for that number one pick. So the more and more we get into this, the more and more it seems like we may just stand pat. Now, there was a report this morning, and I don't know if this is the Wizards doing this to sort of send some smoke there, right, to get the Jazz to maybe get antsy, to move a couple more picks, or to maybe add some more, let's say some more, what do they call assets to the stew, right? And I think that is where the fact that the Wizards now are possibly open to other trade suitors, right? That could really move the needle for the Jazz. Could it move them to make a move, right? Maybe a decision that they weren't exactly comfortable with making before, like taking one of those assets and moving them. That's something that I think is a really huge deal when you think about the ability for the Jazz to have to pony up to get that number one pick. The issue at hand, I think, for the Jazz is how much do you like Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, or Cam Boozer? Now, Cam Boozer, of course, is a guy who has those close ties. Let's see if we got Craig back. Let's give him one more shot. We'll go one more shot with you, Craig. Can you hear me?
I got you back. Yeah,
Woo!
I don't know what happened. It just it's I love the magic of iPhone and all the technology, but sometimes I sit back like, didn't touch it. What happened? But here, I got back.
It's funny, especially a seasoned guy like you, and I so appreciate that, because even me, I'm accustomed to certain things working, right? And it's like, and you've had such a great career where things have, gone sideways from time to time, but for the most part, they work. Hey, here's a question I know you can answer for me. Being close to the Jazz, how important do you think they take these in-person interviews, like the ones that have taken place at the Combine and the ones that will take place going forward when they have guys come into town? And Garrett, just keep it up here as a split screen. Let's not mess with anything.
Yeah, Pete, I'm telling you, I think it's most important, maybe the most important part. They know the jump, they know the lateral movement, they know up the floor speed. They have to, I think, more and more, and probably didn't hear me on this before I lost you, but I think now with the youth of the NBA, that the investment has to be the interview and those that come into the room to get to know this individual, because it's an investment. And when you have a 2 pick, especially, or a 1 through 5, all picks are important, but especially top 5, which can be franchise changers. I just think you have to know who you're getting. Talk to the coaches, talk to individuals or former teammates that know this young guy, because when I was 19, and you think about it, I mean, I was just thinking about football, maybe making it to class on time. And if I liked a girl, if she'd go out with me. I mean, those are my top three. And and again, you're jumping in from college, which is difficult enough, into a man's world with a lot of money and a lot of people in your ear telling you what's right for you. And you've got to be able to make those decisions and trust the people around you. And I think that Keontae George last year, Pete, did a marvelous job in the offseason to kind of shed some of that anger and kind of get to know himself and maybe the expectations that people put on him. Ace Bailey is going through that, I think, as well. But he's got good people around him. And that's the other part of it. Who's around the individual who's helping him kind of plow the field of understanding who they are, and where they're going. So I really believe now, as the league is younger, the interview process is so important, and they got to get it right.
All right, Craig, I got a couple more for you, and you teed me up for a follow-up there. As close as Danny Ainge has gotten to Ace DeBonsa and AJ DeBonsa, and that is a proven entity. That guy's dad is amazing. AJ's amazing character. His family really is special. How much do you think that could play into the Jazz maybe rolling the dice a little bit and taking one of those assets that you mentioned, one of the young guys on the team, and possibly putting them up for a trade with Washington to get that top pick?
I tell you, I think yesterday the headliner around the Intermountain West was, everything's on the table. What does that mean? I think Danny's open-minded, Austin's open-minded, Ryan Smith is open-minded. Delta Center's undergoing a lot of how about a couple of facelifts these last couple of summers. Ryan is in, I believe, year 5 of his ownership. He and Ashley, his wife, and they won a championship. And so you have to have those pieces in place. But I think, again, too, Pete, that you can't, I just don't think you give away anything until you really devour the whole equation of, okay, we know AJ, but is Darren Peterson someone that can fit? They have to wait and maybe go through the process, right? But again, I have to just go off from what Danny's been saying, and Ryan himself, is that things are on the table, and Washington does hold the cards, but they also may try to pressure anyone, and the Jazz included, to overpay. And so that's where you have to use the experience of Danny and Austin, who, by the way, Danny won a championship as a player, as you know, won, putting together a great team in Boston. And so he's got a taste of not only player, but also as an exec on what it takes to put, the right pieces. Again, I keep going back to the pieces, but it's such a big conversation of who fits, who doesn't, because the Jazz want to be a defensive juggernaut. And the last 2 champions have been Boston and been Oklahoma City. And I'll be honest, the best team I saw this year was OKC again, with some guys that you don't know. They're not a household name. Luguentz Dort, right? But he just plays. He's a baller. And you have to find a guy like that, like John Conchar, who came in with the Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. trade, who just is everywhere in a passing lane and deflects a ball. And those are the type of players I think that Danny and Austin, appreciate as well. So
who surprised you in that young core this year, Craig,
for
Utah?
Gosh.
As you guys were going down the stretch and, games are being lost, but still players are emerging.
Yeah, they are.
Who emerged to you that was like, wow, I love this young guy?
Bryce Sensabaugh, from Ohio State. He's a big kid, Pete, 6'6". We knew him when he came in as just a 3-point shooter. And what else is new, right? In college, everybody wants to shoot the 3. That's what is so popular in the NBA. Can you hit the corner 3? Can you hit a catch and shoot triple? But I'll tell you what he did. He took his game to another level and understood that if the 3's not rolling, then just dribble, drive, and take the 225 pounds with you to the rim and score. I thought he made a huge jump this year. And Kyle Filipowski, after being the MVP of the Vegas Summer League last year, he struggled as a sophomore in his second year. But then after the All-Star break, he just exploded in the sense of just who he is, what his role is. They played him out of position because they of necessity. Nurkic was out, marketed out. Kessler got injured early in the season and had shoulder surgery. So Flip played 4 and 5. But, I think, again, he understands himself. He grew into the position and he could kind of just go from 4 to 5. He can knock the 3 down. And I saw him grow in the weight room too, Pete, where he got stronger as the year went on. And so it goes back to the excitement of the growth. And I think the fan base here surprisingly stayed with it throughout the entire season. Delta Center was packed and they grew with this team. And that, again, fuels the excitement of what's ahead.
Yeah, you can kind of feel it, right, coming. It's almost like a storm in a sense. Now, 2 more for you. One, Carlos Boozer. His relationship with the Jazz, working for the Jazz. I love the story, Ace Bailey gets drafted, and the guy there to meet him coming off the plane is Carlos Boozer, right, to kind of integrate him into NBA society in Salt Lake, which clearly has worked out. Ace Bailey had a great year. Where do you think his role is in all this? With his son, I feel like Cam Boozer could almost be a better pick than Darren Peterson. Where do you think that all shakes out?
Well, we go back to that first question about do you get to know a guy and the interview process. I think that's pretty easy already with what they know about Carlos, and then they know what Cam's about, playing at Duke, probably one of the most statistical, balanced players in college basketball, right? Last year. I mean, the guy can do it all. He led Duke, disappointing NCAA tournament. Think that maybe they would get, they'd get a title, a championship, but it didn't work out that way. That's why you play him, as my dad always said. That's why you play him. But, I tell you, Carlos, I'm glad he's back with the Jazz. Booz and Darren Williams, both departed, and both have kind of made mention, they had, a great time at Salt Lake. And I think he's been a great addition, as you said, coming off that plane last year. Boozer was able to spend some time with Ace, making that transition from college to the pro, and gave him some insight on what the Jazz franchise is all about. And I think Cam's already ahead of the game to know what the Jazz are all about and how he would fit in if the Jazz go that way.
All right, so you take over for the Jazz, and this is my last one, just a career question. You fill those huge shoes that are Hot Rod Hundley's. Now, you yourself have this national resume, again, elite is a word that's synonymous with your career, in my opinion.
I appreciate that.
How did you fill the shoes of a guy like Hot Rod Hundley and still have such a, 2005 was when you took over.
Yes. Yeah. No, thank you. Kind words, Pete. I tell you, I got to give a lot of credit to family, my dad. I lost my dad a couple of summers ago, and my mom, all within about 3 months. They were married nearly 72 years. And I was born in southern Missouri. My granddad was a cattle farmer, so I got a chance to ride and fish and do a lot of things, simple stuff. But my dad always said to me, son, just go. 2 things: get her done, and then go plow the field. And those things I've taken with me my entire life. Look, Hot Rod and I were best of friends. And before I took the job, I asked him, because he was at an age where he had decided to go back and do the last 3 years of his contract on radio, where it all began. And so I said, Hots, what do you think? He goes, take it. You know me, I know you, and you know the city. I'd gone to CBS for 13 and Fox and ESPN, and I thought, wow, coming back would be incredible, because we still had kept our home in Salt Lake. And after talking to him, it felt right. It felt right because I knew him as a friend, but also I listened to him for all those years as well. I became, sometimes when we talk about Hot Rod, you imitate him. Like, I tell you, can't believe it. I thought, what am I doing? I'm imitating Hot Rod, and I don't know why. But everybody has a Hot Rod story. He was America's guest, but he was a great person, and he just had a connection with people. And I thought, okay, I'm going to jump in the seat, and I'm just going to try to make it my own. I think a lot of people say that when they take over for legends. But you cannot replicate that. What he did in Stockton and Malone was that time, and now it's this time. And I love to be a part of what he experienced, and that is heavy playoff runs and the potential to actually be in an NBA final. It's kind of a dream of mine, and if it comes to fruition, man, I'll dance in the street. I'll drive the truck down State Street with the horn honking. But that's the excitement level right now, Pete. Honestly, in Salt Lake, I think it's the what ifs, and if everything kind of just comes together and health stays on the Jazz side, because that's the most important thing as well, as you know, in any sport, is who's healthy and then how deep you are. And I think the Jazz are trying to build that depth as well, with the likes of Filipowski and Collier and Sensabaugh and a John Conchar maybe. I mean, it just depends on how the roster's put together. But it's exciting times, and I think Hot Rod would be uber excited to know the Jazz are back in a position to make some noise in the West.
Craig, man, thank you so much for your time, for your career, your work. Every time I know when I'm watching the Jazz on, the package or the NBA, I'm going to hear you. But any other time I've heard you outside of your, roles with CBS, if it's a surprise, it's like I found $20, dude. That's literally, you
nice.
Are that much of the soundtrack. So I really appreciate the time and, and the insight too. That's great stuff today.
Hey, Pete, thanks. Sorry we got dropped or cut off, but I'm glad we got reconnected, pal.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks, Craig. Take care, bud. Craig Bolerjack, legit one of the best to ever do it. I could have kept him here forever. I didn't tell the story when I was in Charlotte doing PR. He was such a good guy to like the young PR guys. And you just kind of don't have to be if you're him, like we're working for you. Those guys usually will connect with you if you did something wrong. No, that's not who that dude was. So thanks to Craig Bolerjack and thanks to Garrett back there in Waco in the studio for kind of making sure everything worked out. Sometimes the gremlins get you. We'll step aside. We'll come back. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovacic. Don't go.
Hey, it's Zach Gelb. We're talking NFL and college football. Plus, we have some of the biggest interviews in sports media. You got to check out the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
If you want a Boston sports show that's going to insult you as a fan and only cares about getting back at their old hosts or who Bill Belichick is dating, then keep tuning your radio. But if you want a sports show that's wicked good, wicked smart, wicked passionate, then you need the Wicked Boston Show with me, Cam Stewart. It is the only Boston sports talk show that is by the fans and for the fans. One voice in this city where the only BS is Boston sports. The Wicked Boston Show.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
I'm ready, dude. I should have gotten drafted. How about this? I don't give a shout out enough to my people at the University of Richmond. They sent me this helmet. And it's on display here. Look, there you go. But I'm going to take it off now because let's face it, I never really played. But they took good care of me. All right, let's get to, here's one thing that has been driving me crazy. Okay, driving me, sorry for the curse, the swear here, batshit crazy. All right. The algorithm has got me, dude. It's got me because I've clicked on those images on Instagram. I guess now what you can do, there's always, in the sea of toxicity on Instagram, there's always a couple money grabs that people look for, like some of these brand new apps, like we will put you on the moon making love to the hottest celebrity of all time, and we'll have the most glorious AI that makes it look real. Like it's everything but that so far. I'm sure we'll see that. But this is the new one, right? Driving me crazy. So anybody can basically put themselves at an NBA game and be like, okay, like here's what the image would look like if we were on TV at an NBA game. And like these are the images I'm seeing all the time. I don't know. I think that's the guy from Soul Glow, right? From Coming to America, the Eric LaSalle character, because they were at a St. John's game. So this one's actually kind of funny. But a lot of times people are taking themselves and you put yourself courtside at a game. It's enough already. Okay. I don't need to see any more of those. I actually have reported one. And Instagram's like, why are you reporting this? And I just put weapons and violence. I don't care. I just don't want to see it again. All right. And we were talking with Craig a little bit about the possibility of AJ DeBonsa going number one to the Utah Jazz. And what would have to happen is, the Jazz would have to move up to number one for all intents and purposes. And here is, I want to play this back because we had Ace DeBonsa on yesterday. And I think it's important to kind of go under the hood and just explore that relationship a little bit. Danny Ainge and BYU, obviously the connection there. And he saw AJ DeBonsa play almost every home game. Like every time I've called a game in Provo, Danny Ainge has been there. Every time. So I imagine he's there when I'm not there as well. And I've seen games when he is in the stands watching AJ play. Of course, as running the Jazz basketball ops, it's a short trip. He certainly knows the layout. Okay, but here's what Ace DeBonsa said yesterday when we talked to him a little bit about Danny Ainge. Let's see. In Provo, you treat the janitor and the general manager the same exact way.
Exactly.
Speaking of the general manager, you got to know Danny Ainge over the course of the year.
Of course. Yeah, Danny's my guy.
What's the relationship like with him? Would you like it if possibly AJ ended up playing for the Utah Jazz?
If AJ goes back to Utah, I'll be happy. I'll go back and see my trainer, Killer Mike. He's the one that got me right.
So that's probably more about Killer Mike than anything, right? But I think it is cool. Thanks, Garrett, for working that. I think it is really cool when you get the idea like that. You can read something like that on paper, right? Like a quote like that. I do think it's important, and that's why we're lucky, thanks to Chris Visser, by the way, Bolerjack today, Ace Tabonsa yesterday. I think we're very fortunate to see, right? To see the visual from Ace Tabonsa there. Another thing that Ace talked to us about was how hilarious it was that people made, and like, elite personalities that talk about the NBA draft were really taken by AJ's stoic look after the lottery was announced. And again, talking to Ace Tabonsa yesterday, right? Ace told us flat out that he told AJ the night before the draft lottery, hey, I don't want you to freak out, right? I don't want you to like have any kind of emotion on your face when they reveal who's going to have the number one pick. And Ace told us yesterday that his dad was very proud. He was very proud of his son because he kept the best poker face possible on, which that is who AJ Tabonsa is, right? There's just no question about that. Okay, a couple more things. Let's talk about, and Garrett, if you have the graphic to put up, that's fine. If not, talking about Kalshi, a couple sponsors here. If you go to Kalshi.com, okay, here's the idea. Kalshi.com, promo code Sousa. If you take a chance, right, and this isn't even taking a chance, you go to Kalshi.com, there it is, baby. Kalshi.com, promo code Sousa. You can play on the poly markets, man. And when I'm talking about playing on the poly markets, I'm saying you have an opportunity to pretty much place an open wager on just about anything going on in society today. And the beauty of a site like Kalshi is this site not only is a place that can house wagers like, or they say open bets or yeses or nos. They also kind of are market makers. And you constantly hear when you're listening to shows that, hey, this is what these poly markets like Kalshi are saying. So if you want to just explore it, this is your opportunity. You're constantly hearing about this stuff. Go to Kalshi.com and do promo code Sousa. You will get $12 in your account. So you can peruse and see what's going on there. But you can also maybe take a shot with $20 courtesy of the Pete Sousa Show. Also want to talk about Argyle Open. Argyle Open is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's in Northlake, and it's got wall-to-wall TVs. It's got 4 golf simulators. It's a place where you can go to hang out with your friends, and if you want to bring your kids along, it is very kid-friendly. They can play on the simulators. They can watch sports on TV with you because they got wall-to-wall, and they got the best, honestly, some of the best food there. Pimento cheese balls is what I had there with Mosley. Mosley was losing his mind about the pimento cheese balls. He was loving them. So I would recommend taking a trip out to Argyle Open in the DFW. Another one of our sponsors, Bumblebee Blinds, right? Thank you so much to Bumblebee Blinds. You walk in any Central Texas location of Bumblebee Blinds, you get 30% off, okay? And that 30% off is, of course, with the consultation. And, if you're big time, you can get the blinds with the remote control, like, those are next level. And if you're like us here in Flower Mound, you can get the blinds that you just turn them, right? And they're really nice. But the key to Bumblebee Blinds is their service is extraordinary. You get 30% off in Central Texas right now. Anywhere in the country you go, you get a free consultation and you get a real opportunity to outfit your house and make it look really, really, really good. All right. There you go. That'll do it for the Pete Sousa Show today. We thank you so much to Craig Bolerjack. Yes, a short edition today, but I want you to do me a favor. Go to the Pete Sousa Show YouTube page. We'll have everything up for you so you can check out all the interviews we had this week and last week. Ace Tabonsa, Trey Wingo, Murph Barton breaking down the PGA Championship. You just saw us talk to Craig Bolerjack today. If you missed that at all, you can go and check out on the Pete Sousa site on YouTube. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you keep rolling with us. Thank you so much to Garrett, of course. Thank you to Slovacics for making this happen, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and all our sponsors. We will see you on Monday.
It's the 2026 Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas. Tour a variety of homes at different price points, plus see the latest trends from beautiful kitchens to outdoor living spaces. See the latest colors and design patterns. This is your chance to walk through homes, meet the builders, and get inspiration for your own projects. The Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, June 5th, 6th, and 7th, and June 13th and 14th. Tickets are available online or at any parade home. For more information, go to Waco Home Parade.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.